From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network and Troy campuses around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Weekly.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Weekly. We're glad you joined us for this look at what's happening in and around Troy University. I'm your host, Jamal Kennedy. The Trojan women's golf team already have their Sunbelt Championship, and now they know where they will travel for their NCAA regional tournament. Sarah Drake has the story.
It was a special day at the Troy Golf Clubhouse Thursday as the women's golf team learned they will be heading to Athens, Georgia for its third NCAA regional appearance in the last 4 seasons. Head coach Bart Barnes said he thinks that this is a good sight for the team.
Super excited. I think that's a good sight for us. Our young ladies have been there. We've seen the course. A few weeks ago, I think we saw it in probably the toughest conditions it could possibly play, playing in 30, 40 mile per hour winds, and so I think the girls will have a certain level of comfort there, having played it several times. So for me, I'm very excited. I think it gives us a great chance.
Barnes said that he never imagined this type of success during his first year, but he is proud of what the team has accomplished, not only for themselves, but also the Trojan athletic department.
You start out with high hopes, obviously, and you work really hard, and to say that I could see this coming, no way, not in my wildest dreams. I just know that these young ladies have worked really, really hard and have done so much just to make this university proud, make our athletics program very proud, and it's really been just a great experience working with these young ladies.
Senior Fatima Fernandez-Cano said it would mean the world to be one of the teams heading to nationals.
It probably means the world, both for me and the team, and I imagine any college golf player in the nation. It would mean the world to be one of those 24 teams to go to nationals and compete against really, really good teams.
The team will be teeing golf from the UGA golf course on May 8th. Sarah Drake, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
Troy University's Rosa Parks Museum on the Montgomery campus now has a new addition, one that will aid in the museum's educational efforts. Sarah Singletary has the story.
The atrium of the Rosa Parks Museum now has a new identity. The atrium was named in honor of Montgomery native Charles Baum's family in a ceremony on Saturday.
We're excited to celebrate again the Rosa Parks Museum and the support that is being provided by the Baum family, originally from Montgomery. Miss Parks was an icon, and the museum that was opened here in 2000 certainly has become a center of much activity, and it also is one of the crown jewels, I think, in central Alabama. It's been visited by almost 750,000 people since we opened it, coming from 200 countries, I think all the icons of the civil rights movement. And so in recent months, the Baum family, late Charles and Miss Patty Baum and their entire family have become involved with us.
The wife of the Baum family patriarch says the donation was made to the museum because of its role in educating about the civil rights movement.
He always sort of felt like his family should have maybe been more active in terms of the civil rights movement. So there was a little bit of a regret for him, and so I really wanted to make this gift so that his legacy would live on and that his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren would really understand who he was as a person and how important this part of his life was.
A donation made by the Baum family to the Rosa Parks Museum will go toward expanding educational efforts through the museum.
For instance, we have a 3-day summer camp that we offer for children. Beginning last summer, we started it with a pilot program. This summer, we're able to actually have it for the public. And so in that summer camp, we emphasize nonviolent conflict resolution based on the principles of Mrs. Parks' legacy.
Sarah Singletary, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Troy University Library is giving visitors the chance to learn about what is considered one of the deadliest genocides in history. Jalen Bivens has the details.
From 1941 to 1945, Adolf Hitler ordered the extermination of 6 million Jews. Dr. Christopher Schaefer had the opportunity to bring an exhibit to Troy talking about the Holocaust.
We have a Holocaust exhibit on loan to us from Ruth Remnant Ministries, and it's 21 panels and is here for about 3 weeks. It comes from the Yad Vashem which is the Holocaust Remembrance Center in Jerusalem.
Schaefer spoke on how he got the exhibit to come to Troy.
They contacted the temple to ask where they might display it so it would get some views, and I've partnered with them, Temple Emmanuel, many times, and so they had them contact me.
He also said he hopes that students learn a lesson from the exhibit.
Just a better knowledge of a hugely significant event in world history. 6 million Jews were killed and 11 million people total, based on anything from religion to political beliefs to sexual orientation. And I think that it's important to remember this, to understand it, and also see how it applies to today's society.
Schaefer went on to say that he believes that the Holocaust and World War II were some of the darkest events in history.
World War II in general was just one of the darkest times in history, and certainly the Holocaust itself, I can't imagine another time that was just so completely brutal. And one of the things that's bizarre about the Holocaust is that it was not as effective as Hitler had intended, because his goal was to kill far more people. So it just shows the dangers of what can happen when somebody like that is given power.
Jalen Bivens, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Troy University's Environmental Club spent Earth Day cleaning up an area that is now named for a professor that inspired many of the students. Nathaniel Rodriguez shows us their efforts.
The Troy University Environmental Club cleaned up a part of the Conecuh River Saturday morning as part of their Earth Week events. In addition to a simple cleanup, there was also a ceremony to dedicate the section of the river to the late Dr. Neil Billington. Billington passed away on January 18th from natural causes and instructed several members of the club.
This is important to us because we want to be able to honor the professors that impact a lot of our students. As I mentioned earlier, the members of our club tend to be environmental science related, so they take a lot of his classes, and they all have been impacted and educated by this man, so we really wanted to honor him in some way.
Goebel said that particular location holds a personal significance for Billington's former students.
This is an area where he teaches a lot of his limnology and population ecology labs, so they come out here, and this was a fun, friendly, happy spot for a lot of his students and for some of the work that he did, and we wanted to honor him in that way.
The section of the river was originally labeled for the Environmental Club, but Goebel said the process to change it was an easy one.
So it's part of their Adopt a Stream program. All we did was contact them, tell them that one of our professors who used the area recently passed away, and asked if we could change the name to something that would honor him, and they agreed to do it for us. There weren't any fees, and this is a county-based project, so the county has really supported us in this effort.
And at the end of the day, the students picked up various objects like a prom sign and other types of refuse. Nathaniel Rodriguez, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
We'll take a short break, but when we return, we'll see how young athletes fulfilled their Olympic dreams. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
We got adopted. Over the years, I came to know the full story of what really happened. She had us when she was 17. The way she saw things going, it wasn't a good environment to raise a kid. The fact that she did that just shows how strong of a woman my mother is, and I thank her each and every day for it. I wouldn't be the person who I am today, and I like the person I am today. Yeah, I knew I was loved and I was part of a family, so that was what's important to me. I'm Christoph.
And I'm Christopher.
And our mom chose adoption.
The warrior spirit, it's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
Olympians visited campus now, not from Canada or Japan or any other foreign country. These Olympians were from right here in Pike County. Sarah Singletary tells us why they were here.
Athletes from across Pike County gathered together on Thursday to run, toss, and putt their teams to victory. But these weren't just any athletes. These athletes were special.
It's fun. You can lose or win, it don't matter.
And that is the attitude that led the way at this year's Team Pike County Special Olympics, a place where special needs children get to compete just like regular kids.
They just want to have a chance to shine and be able to do the things we all get to we get to do, we take for granted. So I feel truly blessed being able to do this for them.
And while John feels blessed to organize the event, one volunteer says she hopes to be a blessing.
I just want to help different people than I usually hang out with. I like to help different people. They feel like, other people matter, like they're cared for and everything. So it's a really nice thing.
The competition is fierce at this year's Team Pike County Special Olympics. And while these students are in it to win it, they haven't stopped cheering on their friends. Why are you going to cheer them on?
To make them happy.
Why are you going to cheer them on?
To make the teachers feel better about themselves.
Why do you like to cheer them on?
Because I want to.
Team Pike County will be back in action May 19th through the 21st at the statewide Special Olympics hosted here in Troy. Sarah Singletary, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Sexual violence can fall into a number of categories, with many that people wouldn't normally think about. So, one Troy University class made a public display to educate their fellow students about the types of sexual violence. Kawana Clark has the story.
Criminal justice students in the victimology course turned a class assignment into a visual project to bring awareness to a serious subject.
This is a sexual violence symposium that I had my class do in order to bring awareness to sexual violence and all different types of sexual violence. I do this every semester in hopes that the students will learn more things about particular types of sexual violence and bring something from the classroom, to present. And we do this poster presentation because it's not a traditional type of presentation, that a formal oral presentation for the classroom. So this is just a different way to present information. It's visual, and it kind of, gets attention, and they learn in the process.
April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the students cover many topics, including stalking, date rape, and sexual violence.
Our assignment is on child sexual abuse and how we can bring awareness to it. There are plenty of warning signs of a child when they're being sexually abused, like they're having trouble walking or really angry at things, can't really connect with their peers and stuff like that, seeming really, really distant. And our board is here to bring awareness to it and let people really know what it's about.
Childs and criminal justice students wanted everyone to be aware of the different types of sexual violence. And if you or someone you may know is experiencing any type of violence, please call the National Sexual Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. Kawana Clark, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Finals start next Thursday, and for many Troy University students, that means their stress levels are going up. So to help relieve the potential stress, Trojan Outreach sought to teach students about emotional awareness and coping skills leading up to the big test. Madison Neal showed us how.
On Wednesday, Trojan Outreach reached out to students with information on how to cope with the stress of finals week.
Today, we are handing out free tea bags with little inspirational messages. We've got coping mechanisms for people to look at and see how to cope with their stress. And then we've also got, a couple games to play so that people can de-stress with that as well.
Students who stopped by had the opportunity to increase their emotional awareness in a unique way.
So the wheel behind us is actually, we're doing different stressful scenarios, so the students can come by and spin the wheel, and then we'll have a different really crazy stressful scenario for them, and we'll ask them if they were in that situation how they would try to handle it.
Trojan Outreach wants to stress to the student body the importance of learning coping skills to improve their mental health as finals approach.
Even if people don't realize it, they are finding ways to cope with their stress. And a lot of times, unfortunately, those tend to be negative coping skills. Finding healthy coping skills that work and in the long run will actually help your mental and physical health are what we are trying to promote to the students.
Tucker shares one skill to use when school seems to be too much to handle.
As you're studying for this final, as you're getting this paper done, it's going to feel like maybe the end of the world at times. It's going to seem really stressful. But if you zoom out, look at the big picture, like in the end, this is going to help you get your degree. That'll help you get your job. Zooming out, looking at the big picture can really help bring you some clarity about and give you that final push and motivation you need to finish that final.
Although studying to make good grades is important, remember your mental health is too. Madison Neal, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, we'll see how Troy's theater department is going where no show has gone before. That story is coming up, so stay with us.
America is great because it's full of freedom, but it's also full of gun accidents.
Sorry.
Of course, your gun is safe, but maybe other people get distracted because America is so full of handsome movie stars and delicious hamburgers. The problem is, too much stuff is getting shot by accident, like toddlers and full-grown people. But you can help. After using a firearm, one should clear the chamber, then check the chamber, then check it again. If there's a safety, put it on, then lock it up.
My bad.
I want to thank you for not being an American who leaves their firearms in the couch cushions or on a ledge above the playpen. You may not need this message, but somebody out there does. So please, pass it on. America is counting on you.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
A popular place to take a little batting practice in the city of Troy is back in operation after the help of faculty and students at Troy University. Antonio Reese takes us out to the newly reopened Troy batting cages.
Thursday afternoon marked the new reopening of the Troy Sportsplex batting cages. The opening brought out a number of members of the community, including some household names such as Mayor Reeves and head baseball coach Mark Smart, as well as head softball coach Beth Mullins. Director of Troy Parks and Recreation Dan Smith gave details into the reopening of the cages.
This was a project where it was truly the Lord's work of it all coming together, because we were considering closing these cages because the total cost of refurbishment was approximately $20,000.
Assistant Professor of the School of Hospitality, Sport, and Tourism Management, Dr. Lindsay Madison gives details into what help her organization played in the reopening ceremony.
Dr. Martin and I worked with a grant. We wrote a grant as part of our service to the community, really, to kind of revitalize the batting cages so that they would be able to stay open.
Dr. Madison even went on to discuss what future plans her organization has with the cages.
Kind of going into the future, the students out of HSTM really get a good opportunity to get some field experience and hands-on learning, working with Dan in Parks and Recreation here at Troy. So our sport management students, our recreation students, some of our event management minor students are really kind of getting opportunities to be hands-on. So some of our students are out here now really just kind of being involved and connecting with the community that we're all a part of.
Mayor Reeves believes the reopening of the cages will do wonders in the community.
Well, it gives young people an opportunity to come out and hit baseballs and softballs. It gives families an opportunity to come out here and watch and interact. As you can see out here today, there's a great crowd and everybody's enjoying it. And so this is a really nice opportunity for people just to get outdoors and swing a bat.
Director Smith also added that with the reopening, the cages are now free for the boys and girls of baseball and softball in Troy.
As you can see, the cages are back up and running and full of eager batters. This has been Antonio Reese, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Pike County community members gathered last Friday for food, fellowship, and to support the local Salvation Army. Anna Kay Patterson shows us how.
Pike County Salvation Army's 8th annual Empty Bowls event was held today at Bush Memorial Baptist Church. All proceeds from the event stay local. Director Kimberly May explains how.
The goal is that we raise money for our food bank right here at our local Pike County Salvation Army. We have a food bank on site, and all the proceeds from this event goes toward that, toward feeding the hungry right here in our community.
For only a $20 donation, anyone can come and receive a soup lunch along with dessert and one of these beautifully handmade bowls.
And we have entertainment. It's Reverend Ed Shirley, and he will be doing 2 skits. He will be portraying the circuit riders of the 1800s. They were the preachers that went around on horseback riding in the Old West. And he's also going to have another skit at 12:30.
Besides the bowls you received with your $20 donation, there were also bowls for sale and up for bid. Judy Baxter is one of the potters who donated her work.
I am a potter from the Colley Complex here in Troy, and I've been doing pottery probably 12 years, but maybe 4 years ago we started helping create some bowls for Empty Bowls. and it's such a joy and a pleasure to do that.
Baxter believes it is very important that the donations stay in the Pike County area.
Because we know where the money goes, and we know their needs here in Pike County.
May said this event could not be held without the help of the community, and she is thankful. Anna Kate Patterson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Little Mermaid is a story many of us are familiar with, but the tale is getting a new twist thanks to the Department of Theater and Dance. And along with the new twist is a new location the department has never used for production. Yu Ching Shing gives us a look.
A very special production for the last show of the semester will be presenting on campus. The name of the musical is Once on This Island.
This is the first time we hold the show at Outdoor Theater, which is located behind the new resident hall in Hawkins Park. So the story is kind of like retold Little Mermaid fairy tale, which keeps audience engaged in Caribbean flavor with high energy dance and beautiful music. Also, a lot of props that actors use are made by hand. It's like handcraft. So it will be really interesting and awesome, I think.
This is the only music show in this semester, and it also includes the sign language performance. The crew prepared it from January to now.
For a musical, it definitely has to have an aura of spectacle to draw the audience in, and there definitely has to have a clear story to tell to the audiences, because you don't want to come out here and just see blitz and blam and glam and just think it's something, but the story has to be there to empathize with the audiences and to relate to the characters on stage.
There are over 20 actors in this crew, and all staff are Troy University students. They designed the costume and stage property with the director's help.
Of this show, Once on This Island would have to be love conquers all. It conquers grief, it conquers pain, it conquers trial, it conquers tribulation, it conquers strength, it conquers everything. Love transcends and can change from generation to generation, can change the physical structure of the island and the world.
Yu Qingzhen, TrojanVision News.
And it's time for our last break, but when we return, we'll look at a summer workshop that will help teachers bring games into the classroom for learning. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it! I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Now back to Troy TrojanVision News Weekly.
A summer workshop at Troy University will help teach grade school teachers how to incorporate games into their classrooms. Aaron Taylor learns more about the workshop in this week's Trojan Talk.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Today we'll be finding out a way that area schools can incorporate games into some history lessons, and a workshop this summer to help bring all that together. My guest today is Dr. Scout Bloom with the History Department here at Troy University to tell us a little bit about this workshop. Thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm glad you had me over.
And we're familiar probably around here, students in the university, with your class, History Through Games, that you've introduced within the last year or so, that has become popular among students and teaching history through board games and card games. But this is expanding, trying to get the lessons spread out to area schools and grade schools and things of that sort. Tell us a little about this workshop and how this all came about.
So this was a grant that we applied for from the Alabama Humanities Foundation, and David Carlson is the other primary investigator with this. But so this is part of a program that the Alabama Humanities Foundation has called the Super Program, which basically does workshops for teachers, and they deliver graduate level content but then also sort of help them incorporate those lessons into the classroom. And so what we are doing is sort of geared toward the bicentennial of Alabama's becoming a territory, and then soon, in a couple of years, the bicentennial of statehood. So we are gearing around that content and showing the teachers, and it's anybody from 4th grade to 12th grade, how they can incorporate games into their classroom to get those kinds of lessons across.
And of course, you have experience with this in teaching a class here on campus that uses games to teach history to college students, and you have learned that it's a fairly good medium of trying to get these lessons taught to some people who may not be interested in the concepts.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's been really neat to see not only how it can draw kids in who might not be interested in history necessarily. You know, if you're using games as a way of getting them in, they become very interested in it. But what I've also found is that the learning goes a lot deeper than, you know, if you're just lecturing at them and they're just taking notes. That's a very passive way of learning. With the games, it's a lot more active, and they really become a lot more engaged. And you know, the analysis and the level that they're able to see the topic is a lot deeper. So it's been a really neat way to see how learning, and if you try to make learning a little fun or a little different, how that can change things.
And now, if for any instructors out there who are watching this and are thinking, you know, this is something I'm interested in, it kind of gives us an idea of how the structure of the workshop and what they can expect out of this.
So basically what they'll be doing, it's a 3-day workshop, and they will be coming in and they'll be hearing content lectures from, you know, we have experts in slavery, so they'll hear some things about slavery, experts in Alabama and Georgia as a territory. And by the way, it's not just for 4th grade teachers, that's where Alabama history is taught, but for anyone who's doing, you know, some of this early territorial or westward expansion history. But anyway, they'll come in and they'll hear some content lectures. We will talk to them about how different kinds of games can be incorporated into classes. We'll have actual, they'll get an actual copy of Settlers of Catan that they can take back to their classroom. We'll show them how to use that. We'll have several other games that they will actually walk away with copies with. We're hoping to make sure that each one of the teachers begins to walk through and develop their own game that they're interested in producing for their classroom on whatever topic they want to produce it on. So, you know, we're interested in helping them with different styles of games and different kinds of games and how they can, you know, bring those to the classroom.
And of course, and then like you said there, they actually get some games to take with them and back. So that's part of it. In addition to just teaching it, they'll be learning and they'll be able to take those games back they're learning from back to their classroom.
Right.
So an added benefit there that's kind of helps that building block process there.
Yes, yeah. So they'll be able to take those things right back with them, right?
And now, in incorporating it into what's going on here with the bicentennial, obviously some of those games aren't necessarily designed for Alabama history.
Exactly.
But I guess that's part of the learning process is figuring out how to mold some of these games to particular curricula, correct?
Exactly. Settlers of Catan is sort of a civilization developing game, but it has a lot of really sort of important features that you can think about when you're thinking about westward expansion and how civilizations develop and how they get spread. So, you know, they'll use that game as a way to introduce those kind of concepts rather than specifically Alabama. Now there will be games that we'll be doing that are specifically Alabama related, but we'll also, you know, be very supportive of teachers who want to try to develop
and
games.
Branch out a little bit.
Yes.
So now anyone out there is interested in participating, is how can they register or find out information about this?
So if they just go to the Alabama Humanities Foundation website and then look for Super Teachers programs, they can find that even if they just Google that. They're welcome to email me and I'll help. My email is sblum@troy.edu. So.
All right. Well, here's hoping that the learning through games expands into the younger students around Alabama with your help. And thanks for joining us today to tell us a little bit about it. So.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.
And that's what happened on the last week of April 2017. To find out what's happening throughout the week, you can tune into Troy TrojanVision News at 5, 6:30, and 10:30 Monday through Friday, or anytime by following us on Twitter at Troy TV News. Also, feel free to like our Troy TrojanVision News fan page on Facebook to see links to online content from Troy TrojanVision News. This has been your host, Jamal Kennedy. Have a good week.